Hi, welcome to my shop.
I'm Ty.
General George Washington.
Yeah. What are you guys selling today?
George Washington.
No, like what are you guys actually selling?
George Washington.
He, like me, tells no lies.
You can't just sell me a guy who looks like George Washington.
He's not some guy who looks like George Washington. He's the real George Washington from Hamilton.
From Hamilton?
You haven't even heard my deal yet.
I don't care about your deal.
I recommend you let him speak. For if freedom of speech is not upheld, then dumb and silent we will be, like lambs to the slaughter.
I won't go lower than $2 million.
Dollars? We don't have $2 million.
I recommend you let an expert evaluate the product.
What expert? What are you talking about?
Hello.
Oh my God.
I'm the expert. This is clearly George Washington, and the first president of the United States. He was known for
I know who George Washington is.
what you can see by his chiseled jawline and his horse teeth molars and the clear sign of syphilis. Is George Washington. He's not worth $2 million. George is worth $15 million.
Hey man, thanks for coming in.
Always a pleasure.
Did you call that guy in?
Oh, I have no idea who that was.
Okay, well, regardless of who that was, you cannot try to sell me George Washington.
Do or do not. There is no try.
That's not even George Washington, that's Yoda. And even if that is George Washington, how is he alive after 300 years?
We used Grover Cleveland's presidential time machine.
I'm not even going to entertain the idea that that's real.
So, $2 million?
No.
$1 million.
No, I'm not buying George Washington.
Well, suppose we should take our business elsewhere. Thank you for your time.
I'm Maddie.
And I'm Talia.
And welcome to the Transcript. This week we will look into the audition process for the spring musical,
Learn about the Northampton Youth Commission's recent hearing,
and investigate about Northampton's new standards to reduce light pollution.
Hallway Hot Takes finds out what people are listening to,
And Real Talk discusses the experience of being a high school student.
On Thursday, Russia's Supreme Court banned the imaginary international LGBT extremist movement. The ban has caused fear among LGBTQ individuals, leading to some leaving the country. On the contrary, Nepal registered its first same-sex marriage, following the Supreme Court order legalizing gay marriage 5 months ago. In local news, PVTA will be offering free bus rides until the new year. I'm Eli Hiranandani, and thanks for watching.
This week we'll be delving into how the musical audition process works for both the students auditioning and the people deciding who goes into the musical. We'll look at how students prepare for the auditions and how Dave and Susan decide who finally goes in.
So I kind of prepared with myself and my phone. I went through the audition materials and chose the best voice part for myself. So some challenges I faced in the past is a lot with anxiety, which definitely everyone struggles with. Normally it's just affects like your entire like memory, like it just kind of shuts down everything and it makes it hard to remember like maybe some lines or like the lyrics of a song. And normally what I try to do is just like roll with it, and like even if you like forget some of like the lyrics at first, like eventually it'll come back to you. Like I'm just really excited to get to know everyone just because I didn't get to do it last year, and I've heard that it was really fun just like being around people who are interested in singing and acting and just doing all that musical theater stuff.
What we look for in auditions for the musical each year are talented people who are willing to share a character, right, and tell a story through their song, through their acting, through their dance. And not everybody feels like they're the strongest in all three of those areas. We're looking for people who are able to really communicate with an audience. All of us have lots and lots of moving parts to bring together, and to just collaborate together and line up our schedules is really and truly such a hard task.
The first thing I do is I look at the NHS Stage website, and so I see the vocal parts and the character I want to try out for, and this year that was Mike, just like a baritone part. And so then I look at the song that he sings, and I listen to the words to it, and I tried to learn the words. Eventually I started singing along to the song, and then eventually I moved on to the rehearsal tracks, which are just basically karaoke tracks that they have on the NHS Stage website. Yeah, in the past, especially as an underclassman, it's hard because you have so many people auditioning who are really experienced, and you know the directors know them better than you. But with Dave and Susan coming in, everyone kind of got a fresh slate. The most challenging thing, besides of course auditioning in front of everyone, is the fact that there's so many talented people trying out. I'm really excited to just get to like hang out with everyone and get to know people who I don't necessarily hang out with that much better. And it's just a great bonding experience, like especially like as you get closer to the show, you have things like meals or like weekend rehearsals where you're there for like 12 hours. And it's grueling, but it's a lot of fun, and overall you're having a great time the whole time.
When we're auditioning roles, we look for, first and foremost, an actor's ableness to their performance skills, their ability to have volume, have stage presence, have focus. And in a musical, of course, their singing voice matters greatly. I think what I'm looking forward to the most in this musical is really seeing the magic and how that translates. The musical Freaky Friday follows the story Freaky Friday, where a mother and daughter switch bodies. So the mother and the daughter both have to play two characters during the show. And I think the show is comedic in a way that it hasn't been in the past. I think, and the music is fun, upbeat, hip.
Thank you for watching, and make sure to support the actors by attending the musical this spring.
Recently, the Northampton City Council hosted a meeting to discuss new lighting standards for the city in an effort to reduce light pollution. The standards will not affect the lighting already in place, but instead be applied to any new lighting built in the city and will also apply to the proposed Main Street redesign. We spoke to a consultant on the project, Ann Smith professor, James D. Lowenthal, for a more in-depth look at how the new standards will help with the light pollution.
The light pollution in Northampton is about the same as most other cities of its size in the United States, which is to say, it's pretty bad. It's bad enough that if you go out on a typical clear night like tonight and you look up, you can't see the Milky Way. And in fact, there are about 5,000 stars over your head. You can only see maybe 1 in 5 of those, and it's getting worse. Light pollution is light that is excessive. It's lights that are too bright, lights that are on all night long even when nobody is there using them, lights that are directed poorly, they're shielded poorly so that instead of just shining down on the ground where they're useful, they're shining out sideways or even up into the sky. Lights that are too blue, because blue light is worse for practically every purpose. It scatters more in the sky and makes the sky brighter than other colors. All of those effects combined make light pollution. And the way that we experience light pollution is, well, as we said, the sky glows artificially bright and it ruins the view of the stars in the heavens. But also more practically, in day-to-day life, it shines in our windows. It ruins our sleep. It's bad for our health. It shines directly in our eyes. So as we're driving or walking or biking down the street, it's actually making it less safe than if there were no light at all. And it's bad for animals, for wildlife, and it's a pure waste of energy. Light that shines up into the sky or miles away It's costing us money. It's producing greenhouse gases to make that electricity, but it's not doing any good. It's estimated that the United States wastes about $50 billion a year on light pollution just up into the sky. What causes light pollution is light that's poorly designed. It's so easy to do light right. You just put the light in a can and you face the can down. You'll have good light as long as it's also the right color and not too bright. But instead, what we find is that most lighting outdoors is installed by people who have not studied it, who don't really know anything about it. You might be a really fantastic electrician and know everything about wiring and volts and amps and circuit breakers, but that doesn't mean that that you understand really how the light is going to affect the environment and safety and so on. So these things are worth knowing, but as a society, we haven't put enough energy into understanding them. There are some wrinkles in the plan that I am hopeful will be taken care of. They're mostly technical things. There are some confusing parts where the details matter, but they're not quite right. For example, the amount of light that is allowed to shine on an outdoor sign. I think it doesn't quite make sense the way it is right now. But there have been a lot of wrinkles that have already been ironed out. I think it's well on the way to being a good, solid bylaw. Overall, what I like best about the plan, two things. First of all, the values. The values are darkness at night, natural darkness at night is valuable. It's worth preserving. It's critical for public health and public safety and wildlife and saving energy and preserving the heritage of the night sky. Those values are in the bylaw. What I also like about the bylaw is that it says this bylaw applies not just to private residences, not just to public commercial properties, but also to the city itself.
The project to change the lighting standards in Northampton has been in production on and off for around 3 years. And now, thanks to the City Council, this plan will hopefully be put into action. Thanks for watching Culture Shock.
Hi, and welcome to Real Talk, where we do different social experiments to observe people's reactions to certain situations and events. This week, we interview NHS students about how they feel about being a teenager in high school. Our first question: I miss virtual school. I'm going to start with disagree.
I absolutely hated virtual school. All I did is skip class and play Among Us.
I definitely do not miss virtual school. I did not learn anything, but I do miss the being able to do school in my pajamas and in my bed.
Yeah, I sort of feel a similar way. For the most part, I really did not like virtual school, and it was not good for my learning. But sometimes I do kind of just miss being at home when I'm tired, but that's really it.
I agree. I feel like it was sometimes nice to just stay home, but mostly it was just hard to make connections with anybody, and it was just mostly just made me miserable. So.
Well, I definitely didn't have the best time. I felt like school-wise, I had the best grades and did the best in virtual school. Definitely was a little lonely, but I do kind of miss most of the aspects of it.
I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I definitely, as well, like you as well, I did quite well in virtual school. It was nice to be able to finish all my assignments before school even started and just sort of laze around as I did the Zoom calls. Also, the fact that I didn't have to commute meant that I had a lot more time in the mornings, and I was able to just kind of take that time to really, do some self-improvement and become a healthier person.
I am glad I go to a public school.
I think there are a lot of resources available at private schools that put people who go to public schools at a disadvantage, which isn't necessarily fair, but there are a lot of interesting people here, and the sports are quite good. So I'm happy going to a public school, but there are also advantages to going to a private school.
I think you can gain more like real life advantages in public school rather than private school, because I feel like you can get more social like advantages here, like dealing with real people and like actual people, you're meeting friends and just having that advantage.
I agree. I think that when it comes to public school, you meet a lot more varieties of people, and it does, I think, private school gives you advantages when it comes to money, but I think a lot of the times private schools are actually just more unhealthy for kids, and they have a lot more like competitiveness to them that I think public schools don't as much. So
I also very strongly believe in the system of public education, and very strongly believe in higher funding and moving more towards public education for everyone. So I am very glad that I'm able to participate in that system and be able to kind of show how beneficial public education can be when given the resources needed and all of that.
Thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in being on Real Talk, DM NHS Technology to get more information. Recently, the Northampton Youth Commission held a hearing to highlight the voices of assigned female at birth and female identifying youth. The hearing provided an opportunity for NHS students to share testimonies about a variety of issues in front of a panel of elected officials, as well as speak in breakout groups. Topics included mental health, menstrual and reproductive equity, representation in media, the wellness curriculum, and more. We spoke to students who testified as well as members of the panel to learn more about the importance of this hearing.
A lack of female voices and youth voices just affect the equity in legislation because we represent a huge percentage of the population. So if we don't have a voice, our needs aren't met.
People push for policies that directly affect them. So when there's a lack of female and youth people in the legislative body, there's a lack of push for policy that directly affects them.
I think that it's really important for youth and female identifying voices to be included in every conversation regarding legislation. It really makes the bills better when we have everyone's perspective, quite honestly. And there's a lot of bills, for example, around education, where if we don't have the perspective of students, we're just not doing our job.
A lot of people testified about needing more support with guidance and how the health curriculum is really problematic at the school. I would hope to see like more ideas just kind of being spread through the school and people like starting more conversations about these issues. And I just hope like more of these forums can happen in the future and more people it can draw more attention to policies that are harming female youth.
I just hope to see that our voices were taken seriously and were heard. And that like even if change doesn't happen like this second, that they are thinking about change and that something will happen in the future.
At the hearing, we heard a lot of students raise issues that are really challenging and that are not going to be fixed by legislation. So one of the examples that I'm thinking of was the student who talked about catcalling or feeling harassed. We can pass all the laws that we want to try to prohibit that and to make, try to make people feel safer, but unless there's a culture shift, it's really not going to happen. I think the only thing that I have seen make real change in some of those spheres are people talking about the issues a lot more. The question about menstrual products in schools came up. I mean, that's something that we could certainly assist with because that's a funding question. So in a way, that's the low-hanging fruit conversation. There were conversations about improving access to birth control, which is something that I'm really passionate about and have filed and passed legislation to do. So there are definitely questions about hate crimes and anti-Semitism, which were raised at the briefing, that I think while we can't pass legislation, we can ensure that people feel safer. So one of the things that the legislature has done is to provide security grants to organizations so that they can beef up their security a little bit.
Thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in learning more about the Northampton Youth Commission, reach out on Instagram or contact co-chairs Lila Neild Stuffy or Noah Leaf. See you next week.
What are you listening to and by who?
Doomsday by MF Doom.
When I was led to you. What are you listening to and by who?
I'm listening to Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley.
Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. What are you listening to by who?
Flashing Lights by Kanye West.
What do I know?
I know it's been a while, sweetheart. We hardly talk.
What are you listening to by who?
I'm listening to Lover You Should Have Come Over by Jeff Buckley.
What are you listening to? Fake Love, Champagne Poppy, Drizzy Drake.
I can tell that love is fake. I don't trust a word you say.
Amazing, thank you. Thank you. Let's go Canada. What are you listening to?
We're listening to Mongolian throat singing. Yeah.
What are you listening to?
Illicit Affairs by Taylor Swift.
And that's the thing about illicit affairs.
And clandestine meetings and longing stares. It's born from just one single glance, but it dies and it dies and it dies.
What are you listening to?
I'm listening to Up in Flames by Nicki Minaj. She's in my top 0.1% of listeners.
Whoa.
One another round, will and get the rest. Got the clothing line popping and the wigs is next.
What are you listening to?
Bigger Than Everything by Yeet.
I've been blocking shade, I sit under umbrellas.
What are you listening to?
I'm listening to Los Pollos Hermanos by Nux.
How many times will they say I'm the smoothest? Truth is I never not moved this way. My trench coat leather, my shoes are suede.
What are you listening to?
Best Interest by Tyler, the Creator.
I'ma keep your best interest. What are you listening to?
I'm listening to Solo right now by Future.
Right now, you got it made right now. I won't let you down, won't let you down. Like for right now.
Okay, everyone, who wants to see a magic trick? Oh, I do. Pick me, pick me, pick me. Well, I don't suppose you know magic, so why don't you come to the stage with me? Perfecto, Alejandro, I'm in. Okay, sir, pick a card, any card. I choose this one. Uh-oh. Sorry about that, crowd. Ouch. Alt, who goes there? It was all a misunderstanding. It was magic, and then poof, I fell down. Nonsense, you fool. You're going down. Then I guess you're no match with this. Guards, seize him. Not on my watch, suckers.
I'm just a step away, I'm just a breath away, losing my faith today. Falling off the edge today. I am just a man, not superhuman. I'm not superhuman. Someone save me from that.
Nah, 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 nah. You cannot take me alive. I got a secret for you. Welcome to the transcript.
Thanks for watching. Key Club is holding a toy drive this Saturday, December 2nd.
Drop off toys today from 5 to 8 in the cafeteria.
And come to the exchange on Saturday from 10:30 to 12:30.
See you next week.